So it looks like Sam Bankman-Fried has agreed to be extradited to the USA, and I want to go through some of the details with you guys. First is, this is it here. It's interesting. From the attorney in the Bahamas, it's saying Sam Bankman-Fried, Monday afternoon, his client has, quote, agreed to be voluntarily extradited to the United States. Also, too, this is interesting. The legal team also made a comment that it's tough to, quote, this is a quote, tough to give the specifics while relying on the Bahamian courts. The other thing, too, I want to mention, guys, when we're talking about extradition, even though Sam has agreed, it hasn't necessarily happened just yet. The reason why is that there were rumors over the weekend, which I reported to you guys, that looks like he was planning on coming back. It looks like he showed up to the courthouse, but it didn't have a lawyer there. And then there might have been some confusion. There's some weird stuff going on. The earlier headlines that there was like chaos in the courtroom and stuff like that. After it was all said and done, it looks like that he agreed to come back. However, it looks like the lawyer that he has was saying don't do it. But I think he has more than one lawyer. This is one of the things I was reading. The other lawyer didn't make any comment. So, who knows? I'm just showing you guys all I have here. But basically, he's saying here, this is interesting. This is Jerome Roberts. So it says a local defense lawyer for Mr. Bankman-Fried told reporters his client had agreed to extradition voluntarily, defying, quote, the strongest possible legal advice. So it seems like Jerome's like, don't do it, man. But it seems like there was other people that said, do it. So who knows? It's like, what? There's another quote. We as counsel will prepare the necessary documents to trigger the court. So basically, Bankman's got to go to another hearing. It could be as soon as tomorrow or the next couple of days to say, we're coming back to the USA. And then from the Bahamas to New York, it would be a fast flight. So he could be back really quickly, assuming all this goes as planned. But who knows in this kind of case? Also, too, you can see here's a quote. It says, Mr. Bankman-Fried wishes to put the customers right, and that is what has driven his decision. That's an interesting quote. So, again, he's speaking for his client there. That's the attorney. Also, too, this is interesting, the attorney as well, a lawyer, same thing, is saying, this is Mr. Roberts again, whatever trail got him here this morning, it did not involve me. So, like, what? This is where it's really odd that, like I said, I was reading like they had a couple different legal counsel telling different things, and like, this Jerome guy is saying like, I didn't advise him to do this. This is like strongly against it. It's just really interesting. So, also too, I guess when he showed up, he basically said he needed a bit more information. And evidently, if you put all the pieces together, we saw an earlier report that said that SBF wanted to see the actual charges, indictment, and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, the quote from the attorney is, and you guys can take it as you will. Again, the quote is, quote, throughout my involvement with Sam, he has indicated that an overwhelming desire to put the customers right and make the customers whole. The other thing, too, which I want to mention with this stuff, guys, I do appreciate everyone's comments on these kind of issues. It's really, really good to hear different people's experience. The basic gist is now, if he does get indeed extradited back to the USA, he'll be in MDC. It's like Metropolitan Detention Center. I think it's in Brooklyn. We had talked about this before. There's a couple places. Someone mentioned there's a MCC, too. But basically, these places are not very nice. The one in Bahamas is also not very nice. If you want to see more details on that, you can find my other video on that. I'll put a link, but you can find it. The other thing is, too, as well, is what will they set the bail at? That'll be an interesting thing because, in my opinion, I think he's a flight risk, meaning that, I think he's got a, well, who knows? I don't know. But I think there is a possibility that he's got a bunch of money, stored somewhere. There's a possibility that I'll say, because I was going to say I think, but, who knows? I don't know. He could just take that money and run away. But, theoretically, he would have done that already. Because if you guys know the Korean dude, Do Kwon, he's basically ran away. And I think the last time I heard it, he was like in Europe somewhere. I can't remember the country. If you guys remember the country he's in, but who knows? There was rumors it was Netherlands, and there was rumors it was another one. I think it might have been Croatia or something like that. Don't quote me on that one, guys. I don't know where Do Kwon is. Don't come call at my house. I don't know where he is. But the point is, what I'm saying is, though, is if on one argument you could say if Sam was going to run, he would have ran already, like Do Kwon did. But who knows on that. Also, too, it was really interesting. I was reading reports that there were people like at the courthouse kind of like yelling and saying, I don't like you, that kind of stuff. So angry people. essentially. And I think what we're gonna find, and I'll try to make a video follow up. I really recommend that you guys listen to the both parts of the interview I had with the FTX insider. That's exclusive to this channel, so please watch it if you haven't already. I think you'll find it interesting. The reason why I mention it is because according to the source, what we talked about there is that there's going to be a lot of people that Sam cheated, right? And this could get really, really ugly because the longer the list gets, and depending how powerful the people are, I mean, there's any number of things that can happen in terms of the courts and otherwise, right? So I think the authorities got to be really, really careful if they, want to keep him whole, essentially, and that's using kind of Sam's own words. Because, one of the things that I mentioned to you guys before, when you were in the world of crypto and dark money and these kind of things, because you've heard about this sort of stuff with, say, campaign financing even, which is sort of a phrase they use where you're like passing money around in other people's name to give it to, whoever you want to give it to. Or say like the drug money, cartel money, that kind of stuff. That's pretty scary money to be essentially stealing or quote losing from people. And I think those kind of people want their money back. Plus you got all the big Wall Street money, and you got a bunch of customers' money as well. So there's a lot of angry people out there, and I think all these things are being interesting. I think also too, I think he's facing like 8 charges. I think any one of them will get him life. It'll be pretty tough not to get life in prison. So, from Sam's point of view, maybe he's going to try to turn in other people. But it seems like what we've understood so far, the rumor's been that Ryan Salami, that was the co-CEO, has been an informant. And then whether or not Sam's girlfriend, I believe it's Ellison is her name, whether or not she's been informed, that's just been rumor. Who knows on these things. But at the end of the day, people start to turn on each other, right? Because you're trying to save yourself at this thing. And I don't think there's any honor to try to like all go down together. I'm sure they're going to try to do that. So, whether or not Sam comes up with some sort of defense, because we talked about also earlier before, the I'm sorry defense, it's not a really great defense. The other defense they're going to try as well is the I'm a bad business person defense, right? I didn't purposely fraud anyone. I didn't purposely steal. I didn't, purposely do anything wrong. I'm just bad at my business. So that'll be either the two choices they're going to try to go. I'm sorry and I'm bad. And then, as you say, like the official statement says, he's trying to make customers right and make customers whole. So love to hear your guys' thoughts on these kind of things. And the one I always ask, the same one, is an interesting one. If he doesn't indeed return to the USA and then they figure this stuff out, do you think he'll plead guilty or plead not guilty? I'd love to hear your thoughts in this one. I'm kind of leaning towards he's going to try to plead not guilty, but you never know in these kind of things. So thanks again for watching, everyone, and sorry for the earlier confusion about what was going on. I think he's coming back, and we'll update when he for sure is in New York. So thanks again, and I'll catch you guys next video.